Welcome to the wrap. George, Ringer, middle of October, playoff time, middle of football season, hockey starting,
sports.
Basketball starts next week, probably before we get to talk the next time. So it's a great time of the year.
It is a great time of the year.
So where are we going to start this week?
Well, we can go just about anywhere. We can go football from high school to the Vikes, and there's good stories all the way around.
There's good stories all the way around?
Yeah.
Well, let's start with the Vikings.
Let's start with the Vikings.
So I'm going to introduce it this way to you, George, because I don't think I've told you this story, even though we've chatted probably every day since then. So the Vikings kicked the field goal, you might recall. No, scored a touchdown to make it 16-6, right?
Right.
So now think about that. Kick the field goal to make it 16-6 with about 4.5 minutes left.
There was.
Okay. That was the perfect time for Tim to say it's time to take a nap.
You took a nap then.
Because it was time to take a nap. So I leaned back in the chair, I closed my eyes, and I woke up, and they were just starting the 2-point conversion to take the lead, 17-16. And I'm like, what? How? Wait, what? And they're talking about the Madison fumble, and I'm like, well, when did they kick the field goal? Because they had to kick a field goal and get the touchdown and the 2-point conversion to get the lead. So I have promised my wife that I can never ever sleep during the Vikings game ever again, because only bad things happen when I'm sleeping.
And when you talk about Alexander's fumble, I tell you, he had such a great football game, and I said before, I think his running style really looks a lot like Dalvin Cook. And you asked, is he Dalvin Cook? Well, he was awfully close to that on Sunday. And then the fumble occurred.
And then you made him sure that it was Dalvin Cook, because Dalvin will do that
whatever it was, but I felt so bad for the kid because he was on the sidelines just really, really ripping himself up, and they were able to swing it around, kick the field goal, win the game.
I heard nobody say, geez, Kirk Cousins had another game-winning drive. Nobody, I didn't hear that one. All I heard was about all the bad stuff, and of course we heard about the celebration punch on Mike Zimmer, and everything else on Twitter. When are people going to give Kirk Cousins his props? Oh wait, he didn't do so well before that, but he did. Yeah, he threw an interception. Yeah, things happen. I took this from Mike Zimmer, and I think it's partially true. He said that we took our foot off the gas offensively. We didn't keep going after it. We got too conservative. So you got Clint Kubiak, who's 5 games into his NFL career as an offensive coordinator. He probably learned a valuable lesson as well. So to me, this was a game that, fortunately, the Vikings won. I think they learned some good lessons.
Well, and I'll tell you what, Detroit was primed for an upset. I mean, they really are behind the 8 ball here, and they don't have that bad a team. And Goff had himself a pretty good game. They did lose Frank Ragnow for the season, so there are some things that, but
yet Detroit was able to run the ball again with a makeshift offensive line, which scares the bejeebers out of me for this Vikings defense. Do you realize that this is the second time Detroit has lost this season by a final score of 19-17 on a field goal at the buzzer, at the gun? When they lost to Baltimore, when Tucker kicked the 66-yarder, same score twice in the same year. Now that's getting kicked in the old lower region. Thank you for the poor Motor City Kitties. Well, jeez, it's better to have no luck than the luck that the Lions have. Good gracious.
Okay, so what is your number one concern defensively for the Vikings right now?
We can't stop the run. I mean, we talked about this a couple weeks ago with Hunt and Chubb, that they ran for 169 yards, and I blew it off. When Detroit came in, like I said, with a makeshift offensive line and continued to run the ball against us, that scared me.
Chunks. They took chunks, Tim.
I understand we only gave up 17 points. I get that.
Yeah.
And the scary part about that, 11 of it came in the final 3 minutes plus of the game.
That's not your nap time.
During my nap time. But this was after we got, and I know Pierce didn't play, but this was after we got all these run stuffers. And then we got Anthony Barr back. Oh, okay. That's supposed to, so that's what concerns me because, hey, to stop the pass consistently in the NFL is a pipe dream.
Yeah, it is these days. There's too many good quarterbacks, too many good
receivers. You're trying to limit the damage.
Yes.
Okay, you really are, because the quarterbacks are too good. They're going to make plays. The receivers are going to make plays. It's going to happen. So, but the run defense, that's a little bit different. You've got great athletes on both sides of the ball. Right now, that run defense has got me scared. The fact that the Vikings have really only scored 2 touchdowns in the last 2 games.
Yeah, there's not a lot there.
Has me concerned. We haven't been able to run the ball effectively enough, even though Madison had the big game. We just haven't been able to do it consistently enough. So I mentioned a lot of concerns there. Number one concern, though, is the run defense, because I thought we were going to be very sound, very good at run defense.
Well, this is what, the 5th week, going into the 6th week, and the concern that a lot of teams have now is because there's been a number of injuries, there had been a number of replacements. I think right now the Vikings are looking stronger and that they're actually getting better, and I think if you can solidify that defensive secondary, because, but like you say, they got receivers running back there that they don't go on legs, they have jets, and they just fly, and and ask Detroit about Jefferson, because he ripped them up.
Are you scared that Adam Thielen disappeared in the game on Sunday? I mean, he was essentially a non-factor.
Well, he was a non-factor, but he did catch a couple of important passes, and he has that for a couple of games. But he's one of those guys that can lay down in the weeds and then just sting you.
I understand Justin Jefferson is super talented.
Yeah.
But I think we've got 2 pretty good wide receivers. Are we running plays only for number 18 and not for number 19? To me, that concerns me, because Thielen is. I feel like when he's got things going, the whole team is going. When he's not in the action, the whole team kind of suffers. I don't know why. I wish I could explain it, but it seems like when number 19 is catching footballs, everything's going great for the offense. When he disappears, the whole offense disappears. So I don't know if there's a correlation there or not, but there could be.
We'll keep an eye on that.
How about the other games? How about Carolina coming up? What are we going to see this coming weekend?
Well, again, you don't know, because is Dalvin Cook going to be there? And
I'm saying yes.
Then if he's running, and they have both, it's like you said, against Cleveland, 2 good running backs is even better than 1. And if they can utilize both these running backs, and there's no reason why they can't, I think that really makes it. Plus the fact they can both catch out of the backfield, which is really, really important. And we didn't see that for so long. We just split them out and they wouldn't come out of the backfield. But now all of a sudden, when they come out of the backfield, linebackers have to cover them, and that makes things a whole lot difficult for the secondary. So I'd like to see that.
Carolina was 3-0. They're 3-2 now. Obviously lost 2 in a row. Of course, Sam Darnold is their quarterback, and everybody thought after the first 3 wins he was resurrected. He was reborn after leaving the New York Jets. Maybe the last couple of weeks we found out that Sam Darnold isn't. He is who we think he is.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Wow.
How about Buffalo over the Chiefs on Sunday night?
Wasn't that something?
I watched 1 play, I think. Maybe 2 before I went to bed.
That was certainly worth watching. And again, Buffalo's defense. And and you just sat back and you just the offense was going to produce a little bit, but that Buffalo defense, they were all over.
I think they put the NFL on notice. we're for real.
Back. We're for real. I think they did too.
Won in Kansas City, which is not an easy place to win, even when the Chiefs aren't good. And the Chiefs are 2-3 now. I think if I've done my math.
They lost 2 in a row,
and they've lost 2 at home, which is even scarier. So. I don't know. The Chiefs in Seattle, my 2 picks to go to the Super Bowl, aren't looking so good. But there's still a dozen games left, so let's not panic.
This is only like a 6th game, but
that's right.
But I'll tell you what, it was a good thing that the Vikings won that last game because that was.
It's tough to come back from 1-4.
It is.
2-3 is a lot easier to come back.
Exactly.
Arizona's the only undefeated team.
They are, but you know something? They got a pretty good football team, and I noticed that when they beat up on the Rams.
So they've got a pretty good football team, and San Francisco's not too bad either.
They're not.
And the Rams aren't too bad either.
My good friend Trey Lance, he got his first start.
He didn't look so good, I didn't think. This is Tim's opinion.
No, and he twisted up his ankle and all. But I remember one of the analysts said, you know, he's out there running around. You don't last a long time in this league doing that.
Yeah.
And then a couple hours later, I'm watching Jamel Jackson just do exactly that whole deal, and I just thought, how come he can run around and do all this stuff? And
Lamar's had taken some hits himself. He took some hits. You were talking about the comeback by Baltimore. It was 22-3 on Monday night when I said, oh, that's enough. I got home from the volleyball game and I turned the TV on and Baltimore was going in to score and they fumble at the 1 yard line and they pick it up and they made it 22-3 and I'm like, hey, I'll see it in the morning when I get to the radio station. Click, turn the TV off, and imagine my surprise when I clicked on my phone in the morning and it had blown up with Lamar Jackson. He went 37 for 43.
Yes.
37 for 43, folks. I don't care what league you're playing.
And he was running up and down that field like a crazy man and hitting everything he threw. And if he didn't throw anything, he went and picked up the first down on his own. He was incredible. And
the scary part about that was they had to score in the final minute and get a 2-point conversion to send the game to overtime. Just to stay alive.
Just to stay alive.
So the NFL was crazy this weekend. I saw something on the number of finishes on a made field goal either in overtime or on the last play. And this was during the Vikings game, I think, and they said there had been 21 games through the first 4+ weeks that had ended on a field goal or a touchdown in overtime or on the last play of the game.
Every Sunday, they're all like that.
So is it rigged? I ask. I just throw it out there. I have zero proof. I just throw it out there because, come on, man, how can it be that way?
It is.
And the scary part is, every Sunday night game seems to go down to the last play, and every Monday night game, not all of them, seems to go down to the last play. The Thursday night games are puke games, but they're going down to the last play. Something's up.
You're talking about 3 of my favorite nights. So,
shall we move on to the Gophers?
Let's move on to the Gophers.
You want to start with the game, or you want to start with Trey?
Well, Trey Potts is, I know everything that everybody else knows, which is exactly nothing.
Zero.
And
except that he's done for the season.
He's done for the season, but
Fleck left a crack in the door that if he heals up faster, if things come around, he might be able to play, which tells me maybe a bowl game or something down the road. But
Mr. Fleck, Coach Fleck has another issue.
He's an eternal optimist?
No, he lost Curtis Dunlap to the portal.
Curtis Dunlap,
the offensive right guard. And I think what happened
in the middle of the season. He can portal in the middle of the season?
I don't know, but he told him he was. Whether it's how that goes, I don't know. But he started 3 games this year, and he played in the Purdue game. But he likes to recycle that offensive line. And it seems to me that Mr. Dunlap was getting more recycling than he thought he deserved, and so. But he informed him that he was entering the porthole. Now,
you mean he can't just get better? He's got to transfer to some place where he can try again. Whoops! Did I say that out? Wait. Yeah, I did.
The portal is going to be an issue, Tim. I mean, this is like a time machine type thing, though.
You quit in the middle of the season like that?
Oh no, I wouldn't be able to do that.
I don't like that.
No. And that's not my concern. My concern is the last 2 Saturdays, I have watched Nebraska play football, and they played against Oklahoma and took them right to the wire. And then they played Michigan, and Michigan barely squeezed by.
Do you hear what you're saying there, George? They can't get over the hump. The Cornhuskers the Cornheads cannot get over the hump.
They might be, but I'm wondering if they don't view the hump as being Minnesota this weekend, and they're going to come in fired up, and that defense plays very good. Now, whether or not the offense can do anything, it's really hard to say. But this game actually concerns me, and and so well, I mean, like the losses to both Oklahoma in Oklahoma and at home against Michigan, those were kind of predictable.
But when you say Oklahoma, I think of one word: overrated. Anyway, keep going, George. Sorry.
No, so Saturday there's going to be a lot of things that I'm going to be looking for at 11 o'clock in the morning. That starts, and of course 7 o'clock that night, Wisconsin plays, and they play Army, and I will be watching that game.
Don't you have a radio show on Saturday nights that's going to force you to?
Yeah, technology helps.
Technology is a great thing, George. Yeah.
Anyway, what the heck else? Oh,
you said that this crowd was quiet when you came in.
They were.
They've gotten a little rowdier since then.
No, a couple of other college scores. Iowa over Penn State in a real fine football game.
If Penn State doesn't lose their quarterback, does Iowa win?
It might be.
I don't think they do.
We'll see.
Iowa's ranked number 2 in the nation. That hurts my tongue.
Yeah, it does.
Iowa's number 2 in the nation. It's like I've been drinking all afternoon.
We'll tell Iowa cheerleader jokes after we're off the air.
I'll tell one. You know why all the trees in Minnesota lean to the south?
Why is that?
Because Iowa sucks. But anyway, let's move.
We got a fan. We got a fan here.
Let's not get Tim in trouble with the Iowegians.
No, and when you take a look at all the rest of the games, Michigan State at Indiana, Rutgers at Northwestern, Purdue at Iowa, Army at Wisconsin's the one that gets my thing. Now, a couple of scores from last week: Texas A&M and Alabama.
Wow.
41-38.
Sure you might realize this. That is the first loss Alabama had in 101 games against an unranked opponent.
Isn't that something?
Think about that. 101 games. They'd won 100 straight against unranked opponents, going all the way back to 2012 or 14 or something. An incredible streak. I listened to the end of that game on XM. I was stunned.
Yeah, so was Coach Saban. Yeah. He was pale, and he looked, and I mean he knew that he had just lost number 1 in the nation because Georgia beat Auburn 34-10, and that vaulted them to number 1. Now, that's going to be a football game somewhere along the line.
Yeah, it's just the SEC championship game that will decide who's the number 1 team in the nation at that time, because I don't believe Iowa can remain undefeated all the way through. I don't think they can. That's just my opinion. Nothing, whatever. It's just not going to happen. And Cincinnati is number 3. Now, they could go undefeated.
They got a good quarterback. They
don't play anybody.
Yeah.
So they could go undefeated. But you know what that means? Alabama's at 5. They move up. Who's at number 4 this week? Come on, Tim.
I don't know.
Anyway, it doesn't matter.
So, there was a couple of classic, iconic defensive struggles this weekend.
I know where you're going with these two.
Oklahoma 55, Texas 48.
Overrated.
Now, you take a look, that's 103 points. And then Mississippi State, 52, Arkansas, 51. You put up
Mississippi, not Mississippi State.
Mississippi. It's Ole Miss. No, you put up...
Did Arkansas make the right decision?
I don't know what happened, but you put up 51 points. You got to count on winning a football game.
Yeah, but going for 2. Now, we know Detroit went for 2 against the Vikings.
Yes.
They're in a different circumstance. They got nothing to lose. They're horrible. You got to win on the road. You get your chance, you take it. Arkansas, these are still kids. Go to overtime and take your chances. Both teams were moving the ball. I didn't like the 2-point conversion there for whatever reason. It didn't feel right. I didn't like the call. You live with it. I get it, but yeah.
Well, you count that the 103 points.
When you're not the better team, like Detroit was, go for 2. But Arkansas said, well, we're ranked 13 and Ole Miss is 17, but we're not as good as them. We got to win now. I don't buy that. That's wrong thinking. Yeah, thanks. Here, I'll throw that one. Anyway.
But you get 103 points for each one of those games, and 79 points in the AMN Alabama game. I thought that they knew how to play defense down there. I guess it's the quarterbacks and wide receivers. So
Texas led that game 28-7.
28-7.
They pulled Rattler, who everybody's telling me is the next gift to whatever. You know who he reminds me of?
Who?
Baker Mayfield.
He does,
You know how I like Baker Mayfield. You know where I have Baker Mayfield in my heart. And Shane Rattler is right in the same spot. I don't trust that guy as far as I can throw him. So, if he becomes a Minnesota Viking someday, I'm going to have to transfer. That's it. I'm going to go into the portal. And I'm going to get picked up by a
Viking portal fan. What if you got picked up by Green Bay? You see, you got to be careful. Yeah.
Well, maybe.
Okay, just a couple other football scores in Minnesota. Wayne State 35, Mankato 24. Who would have thought? BSU 42, Concordia St. Paul 14, and UMD 31, and Mary 27. Now, is that in Mary? Is that of Winona?
That is out in Minot.
Minot.
And Mary, the University of Mary has been, well, for lack of a better term, awful for years and years and years. And the Bulldogs had to win on the last or second to last play of the game.
Yeah.
This is the second week in a row they had to do that. But they haven't had Big John. So if they get Big John back, does that cure all our woes, all our ills?
Yeah, but sooner or later, and you might not believe this, but he's not going to play next year.
Different circumstances.
He's 30 years old now. It's time for him to
it's time possibly to move on.
And St. John's, and I even hate to bring this up, won their homecoming 50-0 over Augsburg. And
play somebody, get up a division and play some people.
Yeah. Well, they are
you
gigantic
Johnny fans. You know who you are too. Anyway. So you want to talk about that high school football game, or you want to?
I said right down in my notes, high school, gotta love homecoming.
Gotta love homecoming. The Broncos get a nice win. I'll use that term to explain it. A nice win against GNK on homecoming, 26-22, and we haven't had maybe a more exciting play to win a game in a long time.
You rebroadcast on that on the radio, and they were all crazy in that press box.
I don't know who they were that were screaming like that, but that's ridiculous.
I don't know.
I don't know. I think it was the guy on the sideline.
Were you screaming in the microphone too?
He was.
Yeah, the three of us, huh? That was a trio.
And somebody was doing this in the background.
I think that was the way. Yeah.
I'm like, well, how was George yelling like that? He's got a clipboard and a pen in his hand. Who was clapping? And I talked to Dwayne about it, and he says, that was me.
That was him. That was Dwayne.
So the Broncos win on a hook and ladder, whichever way you want to call it, with 30 seconds left in the ball game, 4th and 14 from the 24-yard line, and a pretty good pass by Cody Joslin, a pretty good catch by Alex Larson, and a dang good run by the 9th grader Cooper Crandall to get it into the end zone.
You're just taking a look at three fine athletes. Are some of the better athletes on the team, and I told my son, I told the replay to him, and he says, a hook and lateral? We practice it every year. It never works. I says, I know. It's not going to work this time, except that it did. And Cooper Crandall, which important kid, finished it up as a 9th grader. That was really great. I recorded the pregame interview today with the coach, said that instead, and it took us 4 minutes to recap the game from Friday. 4 minutes in the interview. The interview was almost 7 minutes long.
and I didn't cut any out of it. I said, the heck with it. Everybody's going to listen to it because everybody's going to want to hear that 4 minutes as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah, big win. The Broncos looked poor in the first half, excuse me. They had 21 yards of offense at halftime. You'd have thought this game is over, but they were only down 14-8. They'd gotten a block punt and put it into the end zone. Greenway National Akiwatan had returned the opening kickoff at 84 yards. That was kind of the first half. It was 14-8. It was kind of like, and then the Broncos came out and they took the opening kickoff. They went 77 yards, 12 plays, and it changed the complete complexion of the game. And I don't know how to explain it to people why it changed.
No, but you know,
and it was running the ball to boot,
and it was contagious. Not only did the offense pick up the pace, but the defense picked it up as well, and they were starting to come up with big plays. Greenway started making some mistakes. How many turnovers?
Five turnovers.
That
doesn't help.
That doesn't help, and
the Broncos were turnover free, not fumbling the ball, but had 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
Do you realize? I do the stats for the team, so I know this stat, and nobody else probably even sees it. We had 1 fumble in the game, and that was when the center didn't realize the quarterback was in shotgun, and he snapped it up under center. And that was, I consider that a fumble. That was the only fumble we had in the whole game. That's pretty good because the Broncos have not done that all season. So not only get a win, but they didn't fumble the ball very often. And yeah, so good stuff.
It was good stuff. I had an opportunity to take a look at our coming opponents. You know, they have a really good backfield, and they run out of T formation, and it's a grind double. There are no wide receivers on this team.
Did you see how often they run the trap, George?
You know why they run the trap that way? They got a guy that's 6'4" and 275 pounds, and he's a junior. And
you take care of those kind of guys, don't you, George?
How's that?
You log roll them.
Yeah.
You get down in their knees.
Yeah, bite them in the ankle.
They can't push you out of the way when you're 6'4", 275 and you're biting their ankle.
No, you can't.
So you take care of the big boys.
Speaking of an ankle biter, I'll bring it up right now. Max Dremel was seen on his way to Duluth yesterday for shoulder surgery because he broke that collarbone in an incredible tackle on this horse, that green 33, just a mule, and took him right down. And of course, you know, poor old Max was outnumbered. And
yeah, Max was coming around. Tough to see him get hurt. You know, this is, injuries happen in football.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. These kinds of things happen. It's a physical game. But Max was just rounding into form.
He was, and I'll tell you, that defensive team has a lot of good, real heartfelt type athletes on him. Max has got the biggest heart of them all, and he always has. And you take a look when the pile comes up, you can't see him go in there. But when the pile unloads, there he is, grabbing onto somebody's foot. We're going to miss Max.
Yeah, big tough game again this week. Rush City's been doing some big scoring against opponents. Coach Edestead told me today, he said, I've watched pretty much every game that they've played. He said, we've seen them throw this many times.
No, they don't throw.
3. So pack the box, get crazy, listen to an old coach that tells you to put in a 7-man line and do it. Okay.
Well, you will either start that way or you'll end that way. Sooner or later, you will go that way. And it's one of the things where our line is going to have to play real well. This is the best offensive line I've seen so far this year. And
the running backs are good, but there's a reason why those good backs look really, really good.
There's a reason why they're good. And they only have 6 or 7 seniors.
And you've never heard it on this show before that the offensive line is important. I don't know if we've ever said that on this show. Ever.
Yeah.
Stop. Are we done with football?
Yeah, we got to go talk a little bit.
I'm looking up at the clock. We just spent 29 minutes on football. People are going to think that we're one-sided in our sports talk.
Well, we are a little.
A little.
Yeah.
Just a little.
I've been watching baseball, though.
Yeah, let's talk baseball.
I told you earlier that when I asked about the Dodgers and the Giants, and I said, is Mookie playing? And you said, well, I don't know. Well, Mookie is.
Mookie played last night, yeah.
He did.
Had a 2-run home run, 3 RBIs, didn't have a bad night.
Oh, no, you take a look at him and you just say, who's the best clutch hitter in the league? And there's all kinds of good ones in there. But I'll tell you, I'd put my dollar on Mookie
I'm
Betts.
taking Randy Arozarena from Tampa Bay. That son of a gun, apparently when they put the lights on during a playoff game, that son of a gun doesn't miss. He's pretty good, although Tampa Bay is done. Supposedly, this is the story I heard this morning at work. Supposedly after Tampa Bay won the first game, they were sitting in the dugout eating popcorn, and they were overheard talking about ordering champagne to be delivered to Boston because they were going to win the series in Boston and all this other stuff. And apparently the Red Sox weren't too enamored with that kind of talk, because they took care of the Tampa Bay Rays the next 3 games and did a couple of them in walk-off fashion. Very exciting. They were, I didn't get to watch a lot of baseball this past week, but every game was really good.
Yeah, we really
it
are.
was really good. Again, is it rigged? I don't know. Houston blew out the Chicago White Sox 10-1. Everybody's concerned about the Chicago White Sox and their pitching, and I think mostly it's Tony La Russa who's concerned, because he's sure that Houston is stealing signs and flunking his players.
I know
on purpose.
he's mad at Houston again about something today. Yeah.
Boy, I'll tell you though, Houston wouldn't cheat, would they?
Yeah, they would, but you know something? They're still there was no reason for them to ever have cheated. They're that good. And, and besides, they got Dusty Baker. Dusty says they're good, now they're good. That's the way it is.
So the American League Championship Series is set, Houston versus the Boston Red Sox.
Yes.
3-1, they win both their series. The National League, Atlanta took down Milwaukee, which I still say surprised me a little bit, but the pitching in that series, my goodness, the strikeout levels and everything else, the low scoring, pitchers battle, different type of game over there. Atlanta beats Milwaukee 3-1, and the other series between the Dodgers and the Giants, no surprise, they were 107 and 106 win teams. They're going to a deciding fifth game,
and I'm going to be watching that game.
I'm shocked.
Yeah.
Shocked. Where are you going to find time?
I don't know.
Because the game's going to be on the same time as the Thursday night football game. Oh,
I've got a computer.
I got a see? What is it doing? I got a computer.
No, the other day.
What about your phone? You get it on your flip phone?
No, I don't have my flip phone. But the other day, I had North Dakota, I had NDSU, and I had the Gophers, and it was just like all lined up. And I've arrived. This is close to
Nirvana.
Yes.
Football Nirvana.
Nirvana.
Sports Nirvana. He's addicted.
I am addicted.
We knew that a long time ago. So, who are you going to take in the Houston Red Sox series?
I tell you, Houston's probably got the better team, but I've been to Fenway, and besides,
with the Red Sox.
I'm going to go with the Sox.
I could feel it. I'm going to go with the cheaters. They'll find a way to win it. It's going to go 7 games, though.
It will.
It'll be tight. It'll go 7 games. Who are you going to take between San Francisco and Los Angeles tomorrow night first? Because if I remember right, you took the Dodgers to win last week.
Did
you take San Francisco?
I took San Francisco.
Okay, we both
I took the Dodgers to win it.
So we're sticking with San Francisco?
Oh, I tell you, like the first thing you said is you don't know, you can't name 2 people on this team. And the first one I watched was Buster Posey drilling a 2-run home run.
Who knew he still played?
I remember.
I didn't know he still was
I remember Buster. And then last night they had this young Taylor kid, the sidearm, sidewinder, that pitcher, and his twin brother is on the Minnesota Twins.
Correct.
And so, but I don't know how you even come close to seeing them. They're 101 miles an hour going right inside the corner. How you hit that, I don't know.
Evan Longoria, I know, plays for San Francisco now because he hit a home run the other night. That's the only reason. Yeah. So those games are on too late for Tim. They started.
You got to get up in the morning. I don't have to do that.
They are started 8:30 at night my time. Hey, that's going to bedtime. I'm sorry, folks. I don't know why they got to start these games. I understand why. So you're taking San Francisco.
I'm taking San Francisco.
Okay, so when San Francisco beats LA,
I think the Giants Red Sox series would really be fantastic.
Who?
San Francisco and Boston.
Huh? So you're taking San Francisco over Atlanta.
I'll take San Francisco over Atlanta.
We're in agreement on that one. So. But Tampa Bay won't win the World Series like I predicted.
I didn't think Atlanta could pitch like they can.
Let's see. Yeah. Let's go to the WNBA first.
Okay.
Chicago.
Yes.
Can somebody explain to me, this team was number 6 seed in the tournament, and they look invincible. Candace Parker is nuts.
Well, sometimes these teams get hot, and all of us, they start finding their range from the outside, and these are powerful women, man. They can go to the bucket, they can shoot, they can do the whole spiel. They're vicious at this level.
Game 2 is tonight. If Chicago wins in Phoenix, the series is over. It's all done when they go back to Chicago. The Wolves 3-0 in the preseason. Hello?
I've never seen that before.
Are we an HE double toothpicks because the Timberwolves are winning? Has heck frozen over? Or what?
This was my theory last year. The new generation's coming on with all sports. We see it in hockey, and we see it in the Timberwolves.
If the Wolves started winning, boy, I tell you,
you predicted they were going to make the playoffs.
Because something bad's going to happen. You know that thing. Let's go Wolves. Come on.
That'll be fun.
The Wild get started on Friday night out at Anaheim, and then they play San Jose. I think it's San Jose on Saturday night, and then they come home for a home game against Winnipeg next Tuesday.
Oh, that might be fun.
Oh my God! I just realized something. We got to keep going with the show, but I got to write myself a note. So you jibber jabber about the Wild.
Jibber jabber about the Wild.
Let's talk about the Wild.
Well, I'll tell you, they're all intact. They got a couple of injuries that they have to work through. I think they have 2 really good goalies, and as soon as they figure out the scoring situation, I did notice that the Kraken went to Las Vegas the other night and were not treated kindly. You'd think that maybe, it's your first game in the league, we'll give you a helping hand.
So here's the trivia question.
Yeah.
Who scored the first goal ever for the Kraken? Who scored the first Kraken goal?
I don't know that.
You weren't listening to my sports this morning, George? Oh, man.
I guess I was.
I gave the answer this morning on this.
Yeah, you did.
Ryan Donato. Ryan Donato is the answer. He scored the first ever goal for the Kraken. I probably will never forget, if I get asked in 25 years if I'm still alive. I will remember that Ryan Donato scored, because I only said it like 12 times today.
So what's this Kraken? I mean, with the draft and everything, what kind of team are they going to be able to put on the ice? Las Vegas didn't do badly.
Well, Las Vegas is still a pretty good team. And Vegas got a 3-0 lead, and the Kraken tied it at 3, and then Vegas got the game-winning goal right at the. I don't see any reason why Seattle won't be in the mix at the end. I don't think they've got enough high-end players like Vegas got, but you never know.
No, and injuries happen, and that's part of the deal.
Yeah, absolutely. You just don't know what's going to happen. So again, good. Go Wild. They are in Duluth this week on a retreat.
Oh,
and they were saunaing and jumping in Lake Superior.
Yeah, that's why they were swimming. I thought
had a pig roast and practicing at Amsoil, getting ready to fly to Anaheim and take on the world. So, Wild make the...
Have you ever jumped in Lake Superior?
I have swum in Lake Superior. I don't think I've ever jumped in there. I walked in, but I don't think I've ever jumped in Lake
cold.
Superior. I went in with Eli a couple of years ago, maybe 3 summers ago. Hot summer day, mid-90s, even in Duluth.
That cooled you off.
And my dad said, let's go swimming. I'm like, oh, great, where are we going? Maple Lake, where do you want to go? Well, let's go to Duluth. Let's go swim in Lake Superior. Let's go down into Park Point. And I'm like, so off we went. We packed up a cooler, and Eli and I went down. Grandfather, father and son, the whole 9 yards. And he sat on the beach all covered up because he couldn't be in the sun. And Eli and I swam in Lake Superior.
I spent 6 years of my life on that lake, and all that time, did I ever want to go swimming? Yeah. So it was just an aversion for me.
There you go.
Okay.
We've got to talk college hockey.
We do.
So
UND snuck one a couple by, huh?
UND snuck a couple by Bemidji State, 3-2, 4-2 with an empty netter, at BSU on Friday. And then I didn't think I got to watch them on Saturday night live. I didn't think they played particularly well. I thought Bemidji gave them everything they wanted, and it was 1-1 after 2, and the Dogs got one about halfway through the second. Had a third one that was disallowed. I have not heard any reason why that goal was disallowed. Whatever reason they give, it's baloney, and so it should have really been a 3-1 win for the Dogs. But
So Bemidji's got a pretty fair
I
club.
think Bemidji's okay.
Okay.
You know, they took some penalties in the game, I thought, that maybe weren't necessary, but, you know, things like that happen in a hockey game and go from there. So, St. Cloud State and Mankato State split. Mankato's #1 in the nation. St. Cloud State's #2 in the nation this week. So kind of think about that. Now, this weekend in Duluth, they've got the Icebreaker tournament going on. So you've got #1 Mankato taking on #10 Providence Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock. Good matchup.
Yeah.
The nightcap is #3 Michigan versus #5 UND. That's the nightcap. Not too shabby.
No.
Well, then they get to play on Saturday. The winners play and the losers play. So you're going to see some quality hockey this weekend. I'm fortunate enough, of course, to have tickets on Saturday. My wife was already trying to talk me out of the first game, and I'm like, no,
that ain't gonna happen.
no. I'm going to get a chance to watch Michigan play live. They had the NHL draft this summer. I don't know if you heard about this, but Michigan had 4 of their kids drafted in the first 5 picks. 1, 2, 4, and 5. I want to go watch those kids. And she's telling me, maybe wait, your son can't handle watching 2 games. Well, then maybe he should stay home. Tim wants to go. Doesn't she get it? This is important to what? Anyway, I digress.
Far be it from me.
Yeah.
Sue came up at 9 o'clock on Saturday and she says, how long can you go? And I says, this is the beginning of the night shift here. I got a couple hours.
I got a couple hours left.
You've been watching this for 10 hours. Yeah, but I saw this game. One time I watched 3 football games at one time. It takes talent to do that.
It's living the dream, baby.
It is.
Living the dream.
Yeah.
We're approaching Nirvana. Hey, by the way, the Golden Gopher men's hockey team,
yeah,
I should mention them ever so slightly.
They won.
They won a couple of games, but they're #4 in the nation, and they play St. Cloud State this weekend, who's #2, home series. So a lot of good college hockey out there. It's going to be fun, and then the Bulldogs and the Gophers play the following weekend, home.
You've got Minnesota, St. Cloud, Mankato, Bemidji State, and the University, all top shelf hockey. Hockey's big time in Minnesota, would you say?
And we haven't even mentioned the swear word UND yet, but they swept Niagara too. So
yeah.
Well, we'll let them have that. That's the way that goes.
That's the way it is.
College hockey, I know. My buddy Mike Bolstead isn't a big fan of college hockey.
I love college hockey.
He's not a big college football fan. He says it's too slow, it's too grinding. They let him do all this. It's too defensive. There's not enough flash like when he played back in the day at Providence. And anyway, they play defense, Mike. That's it isn't just a run and gun show. Sorry. You can't have it that way.
No, and I agree with you. I on Saturday night at the end of March and stuff, when the Frozen Four and the playoffs for college hockey, those kids they're not beating each other up and getting tossed in the penalty box. They're skating. They got those big rinks and they just skate their buns off. I much prefer that to the pro game, and I know those guys are big and strong and fast and they do all the rest of this stuff, but the game is actually pretty monotonous when it gets right down to it.
And they're trying to fix that. I think they are too. Both leagues are trying to fix that. A little more scoring, a little more flash, less grabbing and holding and that kind of stuff. And of course that gets dictated by the officials who blow more whistles, which supposedly should open up the game because the guys are supposed to, and gals are supposed to not do that stuff.
No, that Greek pontification does not include the Wild because they've been pretty exciting to watch, and they're digging and they're young and they're working real hard. They're going to have a fine season.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
It could be a fun winter if the Wolves and the Wild are winning. And then when the Vikings go to the Super Bowl, then we will know that we are in HE double.
Well, then we talk about Gopher basketball because that's this winter. And then that's not looking so hot. They're ranked 14th out of 14.
Yeah, the newspaper writers pick each. That's 2 writers from each home team, and they picked the Gophers to be 14th out of 14 teams.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be that bad. I think the reason why they're rated so low is because they're such an unknown.
Yeah, they have
You
no
don't
idea.
know what you got because they haven't played together. And they might be right. They might be horrible, but hey, you never know.
Well, and they made mention of Marcus Carr, and he's going to Texas. So we'll be able to get a chance to see him play. I don't know if the Gophers play Texas this year. I don't think they do. But, that's what happens. Yeah.
That portal.
That's like one of those time zone things, isn't it? Time
It's like
machine?
a time zone, time shift. Yep. Are you going to mention the W word at all today?
Wisconsin?
No. Wrestling. He's got his Gophers. He's got his Gopher message.
I'm going to tell you, and I repeat, the University of Minnesota has the finest closer in college wrestling. And anybody that goes into that room and works out with that man is going to come out either what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. They're going to have good people there for a long time.
By the time we talk to you the next time, which will be on a Thursday next week, but when we record the show because there's a football game on Wednesday night next week that George and I have to be at because it's MEA weekend. By the time we record that show, we'll know the playoff matchups pretty close. We'll have a pretty good idea of who's playing who on the playoffs because those things need to get started. The playoffs in volleyball start on Monday the 25th or Wednesday the 27th, depending upon whether you're A or AA. Of course, the football playoffs start on Tuesday the 26th. And so when we look at that, it's right around the corner. And, if the Broncos football team could get a win against Rush City and a win against Crosby the following Wednesday, they might not play on that Tuesday night. They might get a bye.
Whatever it is.
But if they lose the game on Friday night, then the Crosby versus Falls game will decide who gets to play at home because they're going to play each other the following Tuesday. If that's the way things work out, and the Bronco volleyball team is fighting for a home playoff. They're sitting in the 5th spot right now. They need to get to 4th, so they got a big match against Deer River, and they've got somebody left over next week. Can't think of who it is right now, so it isn't on the top of my mind.
You should have organized that brain of yours to include all those games.
Did you go to the Ohio Pike yesterday?
No.
Should you have gone to the Ohio Pike yesterday?
I felt bad.
It was a gorgeous day.
Yes.
Almost a perfect day as far as I'm concerned for a cross-country meet. And Broncos didn't do too badly for themselves. Abby Hutchinson finished 4th individually. Nice day for her. And
so what year is she? She is
a 9th grader.
9th grader?
9th grader, and she's putting in a lot of miles. And of course, Ryan Ford and Lorelei Ford right behind her. And then you're going to get a Bailey Herberg, you're going to get a Nora Sullivan, you're going to get a Jaylee Carlson, you could get a Summer Hezadal in there. You don't know who you're going to get in that mix that are going to be that 4th and 5th scorer, and so that kind of makes it interesting. And of course, on the boys' side, Coach Jelly, I had a chance to talk with him the other day. He's got a couple of young runners that he's really excited about.
Where do we get them? Because we've been turning these kids out for years, and nobody ever knows about them.
We just don't get 5 of them. You need 5 to be.
Like Greenway and Wasabi East and
Rock Ridge. Seem to always find those numbers, and that's the way it goes. The girls swimming and diving team beat War Road, Roseau, Badger, Greenbush, Middle River, all combined together.
I listened to that this morning,
118-65. Coach JJ McBride couldn't have been happier. My desk mate at the radio station, she was pretty pleased with how the girls did.
Do you notice how coaches are in much better mood when they win?
When they win?
Yeah, they are.
I don't understand the correlation between winning and being happy.
I never let it bother me one way or another.
Right. We were very even keeled.
Whoa.
Pull it. So, we could go into a whole diatribe on coaching and losses and the funerals that you went through on the weekends and the wins where it was just kind of like, well, that was what we were supposed to do, but I won't do that to you.
No, you'd wake up and it was like you had this humongous hangover and you hadn't had a drink. It would be, Did that actually happen?
They don't want to hear us talk about they don't want to hear us talk about our page, George. They want to talk about the good stuff.
We'll talk about the good stuff, and the only thing I can say is, go Army, beat Wisconsin.
Go Army, beat Wisconsin. I love that. Anytime the Cheeseheads lose, that's a great thing. So because you've got football and a Blues Hour in this show to get ready for, you haven't read a book in months, I assume.
No, I have been reading the first four about the four guys that broke into the league
last time.
Yeah, and those stories, we really don't know what pulling yourself up by your bootstraps means, and these guys do, but tremendous athletes, just incredible athletes, and I don't know how many were out there that never got the opportunity that these four did, but I do remember Marion Motley running, and he was 6'2" and 250 pounds, and they rolled off of him, but he was a big man and he hurt people carrying the ball, and really he was kind of the precursor to Jim Brown, and and so you see these guys and you kind of remember him, and Woody Strode, because he's such a fine actor, and he really was, and Bob Willis, because Bob Willis was an interesting guy, because he played lineman for Ohio State, but he was so quick that they dropped him back into the linebacker position in pass plays, like you see happen from time to time now, with defensive ends, and they got that guy right down the middle. Well, he was faster than most of the linebackers, so they dropped him right back, and he utilized him. Paul Brown utilized him that way, which nobody had ever done before. So these were great guys and super football stories.
Well, I would say that on this show we used to talk about occasionally the music that George was listening to in the solarium every week. Once, twice, 3 times a month, maybe every time we talk about what George was listening to. Of course, George only listens to the blues now because he's got to get ready not for only 1 hour of the Rainy Lake Blues Hour, but he's got to get ready for 2 hours. So you haven't had time to listen to the Cars or Van Halen.
The last time I listened to the Cars, it was 7 o'clock in the morning before college game day, and I cranked it up, and Sue says, "What are you doing? It's 7 o'clock." She was crawling down to make coffee, trying to get in a little rock and roll. So, but there's so much blues out there and so much music. Yeah, it takes my time. I do have a couple of books coming in, and these will be like project books. So this will take some time. So they're coming in.
Are we done?
Yes.
We're done, I guess. Thanks everybody for watching. We certainly appreciate it. We don't know why, but you do.